What's going on all my fantasy football fans out there? It's Waiver Wire Queen. Let's talk about some waiver wire ads you should consider picking up week 3 fantasy football. These players may be able to help you during bye weeks, if you have any injuries, or if you have players who aren't living up to expectations. These guys nonetheless should help you fill out your bench and help you along throughout the season. And some of them pretty much should be replacing some of those guys you got on your roster. All right, let's jump right into it. We're going to start with some quarterbacks. Teddy Bridgewater, starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos. He is rostered in 80% of sleeper leagues, 17% of Yahoo leagues, and 14% of ESPN leagues. All right, look, I'm going to be real. Teddy Bridgewater right now is a way better option than Matt Ryan, because Matt Ryan's not playing that great. Big Ben, Carson Wentz, and he's injured again, so you may want to consider Teddy here. He's averaging over 250 passing yards per game, just on Sunday, over 300 passing yards, and he has a total of 4 touchdowns on the season. So he is definitely playing well. He has a really good group of young, talented offensive weapons. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy once he returns from injury. You got Tim Patrick. You have Javonte Williams, Hamler. You have even Melvin Gordon, and obviously the young, talented tight end Noah Fant. Great options, and the defense is playing well. Teddy's playing well, and you should consider picking him up. He should be rostered much higher in these Yahoo and ESPN leagues. The sleeper league is probably going to go up after this week to over 90. He's definitely good, especially if you are in a super flex league. He's a really good option, nonetheless, to come off your bench, or if you want to start him, because right now he's a player you can consider starting once you look at some of those matchups. This week next week he'll be playing the Jets, which is definitely a great option, and he's a must start, but we're going to talk about that later on. But yes, consider Teddy Bridgewater. Another quarterback to consider is Sam Darnold, starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. He's rostered in 26% of sleeper leagues, 15% of Yahoo leagues, and only 5.9% ESPN leagues. So far, first 2 games, he's got over 580 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's playing way better than Zach Wilson, and I know Zach Wilson is a rookie, but after the 3 interceptions yesterday, I wonder if the Jets are second guessing moving on from Darnold and not really giving him a chance to succeed by not building around him. Nonetheless, Carolina is 2-0 to start the season. They look good on offense and they look good on defense. Darnold has some really nice weapons. Obviously, CMC is a great weapon to have. They have some really good wide receivers in Moore, Marshall, and obviously Anderson. And then they have some tight ends on that team that's more than capable of blocking and catching the ball. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that if nothing else, especially in deep leagues, if you have Big Ben as your starting quarterback, which some of us do, Darnold is obviously a much better option right now. And super flex leagues, he's a great option as well, because if nothing else, you can put him on your bench, and when you need to replace one of your starting quarterbacks, you can replace him with Sam Darnold, who is playing well. All right? That's right. Another quarterback to consider is Derek Carr, starting quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. That's right. Derek Carr out here balling hard in fantasy football. Okay? He is rostered in 26% of Yahoo leagues, only 16.5% of ESPN leagues. Yeah, I keep messing up the ESPN league. He is really playing well. I understand that Pittsburgh didn't have some of their guys, but no excuse. They always say next man up. He sliced the Ravens and Pittsburgh secondary up these first 2 weeks. Over 800 passing yards, 4 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He is playing out his mind. He's playing really good football and is a player that you can add to your bench if nothing else. Because let's face it, if you have Big Ben on your bench right now, Big Ben isn't really playing well enough to be on your bench. I think he's been drafted and rostered based on the name and the expectations or potentials, but he hasn't really been that good over the last few years. And Derek Carr is performing well enough to warrant a claim to sit at the end of your bench, on your bench, or even start for you during a bye week. Carson Wentz, we don't know what's going to happen with him. Both his ankles are hurting. He had the foot surgery, and to me, I feel like they rushed him back. However, now he has these 2 ankle issues. So you may be able to look at Derek Carr. That would not be a bad option. Right now, Derek Carr is playing better than Carson Wentz, Zach Wilson, he's a rookie, Mac Jones, rookie, but still playing better than these 2 guys. And he's playing better than Big Ben and Matt Ryan, who I'm sure people have drafted just based on the name of Big Ben and Ryan. You drafted them. He's playing better than these guys and deserves a roster slot over these 2 guys until they can show that they can get out there and get you the points that you need to win each week. All right, so again, consider these 3 quarterbacks to help you, whether it's a bye week, injury, whatever's going on. Pick them up, okay? Pick them up, especially Teddy Bridgewater. Now, let's talk about some running backs to consider, okay? James White, that's right, y'all. I done said his name, James White. Patriots running back. He's rostered in 55% of sleeper leagues, 42% of Yahoo leagues, 55.3% of ESPN leagues. But what I'm saying here is he's still available in leagues, and that has increased over the last week, considering what he did week 1. And in week 2, I expected to see more of, Ramondre Stevenson was inactive, Taylor was active, and they played really, really well. White, I keep calling him right. White played really, really well. He got more carries than expected, and he's really a great option in PPR leagues. And I thought that Harris would dominate the carries and just outperform him because it was the Jets. However, they really leaned on White. Harris wasn't doing that great until he had that bully touchdown. I'll call that a bully touchdown. So what I'm saying here is, one, in PPR leagues, James White is a great add. If nothing else to put on your bench, he had over 20 fantasy points this past week. And Mac Jones is looking for him and relying on him. He's like a security blanket for Mac Jones, in my opinion. And he's a great security blanket to have. So what I'm saying here is James White is a really good add. And it's not one of those ads where you have to sit him on the bench and wait for bye weeks. He can be a flex play for what they're doing with him. They're using him, okay? So if you can pick up James White, go on and pick up James White out here in these fantasy football streets before you miss out, okay? Because you may miss out. Another running back / wide receiver is what I call him, Cordero Patterson. Falcons running back / wide receiver. They line him up everywhere. He's in the backfield. He's returning kicks, turning punts. He's lining up, catching passes. He's doing it all. I actually underestimated what they were going to do with him. Now that I've seen what they've been doing with him, hell yeah, pick him up. Only rostered in 16% of sleeper leagues, 14% of Yahoo leagues, and 7.7% of ESPN leagues, which is really low. And they are using him. He is a part of their game plan every week. So what am I saying? He's a great add. If you have Davis, he's definitely a good handcuff, because I see them using him more than Davis at times. And he outperformed Davis this past week. and they're using him all over the field. So great value, if nothing else, to add on your bench. If you have Davis, definitely a good handcuff. And just see what happens. You never know what's going to happen with injuries, bye weeks, and all of that other stuff that typically tends to go down in football. So let's talk about some wide receivers you should consider adding, because these guys are playing their butts off. All right. Rondelle Moore, wide receiver with the Cardinals. He's rostered in 52% of sleeper leagues, 33% of Yahoo leagues, and 19.3% ESPN leagues. So he is available, okay? I really thought it would be higher with the sleeper, because, you know, people typically use that more for like dynasty leagues, but that's going to go up. It's going to go up. Okay, so far he has 182 receiving yards total in 2 games and 1 touchdown. They are looking for him. They are using him. They have some weapons. I mean, Kyler Murray is passing the ball. He's looking for everybody out there. Kirk's playing well. Obviously, Hopkins is always going to play well. Even AJ Green is in the mix. However, this young, talented rookie is playing very well. He's exceeding expectations so far. And he's definitely good for deep leagues, and especially dynasty leagues. Nothing wrong with stashing this young man on your bench in a dynasty league, because he is part of the future. I do feel like at some point he's going to surpass Christian Kirk, because Christian Kirk has had a few years to show that he is that other option aside from Hopkins, and he just hasn't put it together 100%. He's had some good games here and there, like he's doing right now, and then after a few good games, you know what happens. Moore is going to surpass him at some point. So go on and pick him up if you can, y'all. Go on and do what you got to do out here in these fantasy football streets. Think ahead, especially dynasty. If nothing else, dynasty leagues. Another wide receiver to consider, and these 2 guys are for deep leagues, dynasty leagues. I'm saying his name. I'm a Giants fan, but Jalen Reagor, Eagles wide receiver. He's one of their starting wide receivers. He's rostered in 46% of sleeper leagues, 26% of Yahoo leagues, and 59.8% ESPN leagues. That's really high for ESPN. All right. Thing is that week 2 was a hard, tough matchup against the 49ers. He almost had a really nice touchdown, but it was called back out of bounds. Nothing else. All I gotta say is he had 5 targets. Hurts is looking for all 3 of those wide receivers out there. Obviously, he's not ahead of Smith. Watkins is solid, but he's a bit older. Reagor is definitely more a part of that long-term plan. They invested a high draft pick in him. He's a high draft pick. That's a high asset that they pretty much invested in him. So what I'm saying is in dynasty leagues, he's definitely someone you add to your roster. Dynasty leagues, deep leagues, you add him, because you just never know what's going to happen with injuries, bye weeks, COVID protocol. You just don't know what's going to happen. So you have to be smart. You have to think ahead of your competition so we can stay ahead of the game. All right. We trying to do this together out here, y'all. So definitely a good option. And another really good, sneaky, long-term, deep and dynasty leagues is KJ Osborne, wide receiver with the Minnesota Vikings. I know you're like, if it ain't Thielen or Jefferson, it's nobody. Okay, this kid, he's obviously stepped up and is that 3rd wide receiver to go along with Jefferson and Thielen. So when Jefferson and Thielen is tied up, can't get open, this young man is definitely a good option. The reason why he's going to be a part of things going forward is, you know, before the season started, we thought Irv Smith Jr. was going to be that other option. He injured, done for the season. So this young man has stepped up, and I feel like he's going to take targets away from the tight ends they added. They're not going to surpass him in targets. So Herndon and his Conklin or something, whatever. They're not going to surpass this guy. He has big play potential, that long touchdown. Was it over 90 yards? Really good. He's averaging 14 points in fantasy over the first 2 games of the season. The biggest thing about him is not someone, you don't look at him like, oh, he's about to come in and start and take. No, you look at him for someone who may be able to help you during a bye week. Or like I said, this is just strictly deep leagues, okay? Deep leagues. This is not for 6-8 teams. You probably got some really great options out there. These are for deep leagues and dynasty leagues only. Okay, so consider adding him. He's a good young player. All right, y'all. Hit that like button. Subscribe to Waiver Wire Queen for more on fantasy football, because we are going to make sure we get you right for the season. Again, remember, these are just recommendations to help you throughout the season. Again, it's your final decision. It's your decision. However, some of these guys will really be great options for you going forward. All right, y'all. Peace.